So what's the secret to a great swimsuit that looks amazing and lasts forever? It's not the pattern, it's the fabric. And today I'm sharing all my secrets with you.
Hey creative family, welcome back. I am so excited to show you the first video in the next chapter.
There are really 3 things you need for a good swimwear fabric. The first is you have to have good 4-way stretch. If it doesn't stretch, it's not going to work. The second is recovery. It's got to bounce back. It's going to be on your body. You got to bounce. It has to recover. And then last but not least, the fabric cannot be see-through. So if you can see through it, when it's wet, you're really going to be able to see through it. And if you're brown, that's a disaster.
Well, after sewing swimwear for almost a decade, I can tell you that I've made many mistakes. So today I'm giving you my ultimate guide to swimwear fabric. So nylon spandex. You all may know this as a fabric called lycra. It's about 80% nylon and about 20% spandex. We love this fabric because it's soft, it's dreamy, it's creamy. We love everything about it, but it's more for people like me. I'm not jumping in the pool. I'm there to have a lot of fun and take pictures and drink my drink and read my book with my shades on. If you're that person, nylon spandex or lycra is the perfect swimsuit for you. Why? Nylon spandex or lycra can be very sensitive to chlorine and sun. So if you're a very active person, my suggestion would be that you choose this next option. Polyester spandex. Polyester spandex is the workhorse of swimwear fabric. It's what competitive athletes use and people who like to spend a lot of time in the pool. It's more durable than lycra, and it's chlorine, and it's also sun resistant. So remember, there were 2 things that made a swimwear fabric. Remember, the first was content, and we talked about that, lycra or the nylon spandex. And now we're going to talk about the second element, which is stretch. Stretch is super important. So I brought along some fabric. Let's pretend that your fabric is one big square. And in many ways it really is, right? So here's a fabric that I'm considering using for my project. So if I look at this fabric and I can stretch it in one direction, I also, if I use it for swimwear, it needs to be able to stretch in the other direction. So 4-way stretch means that if I have a square, I can stretch it this way, and I can also stretch it this way. It has to do that, because if it does not, when you get ready to sew this, it's going to feel like you are super confined, and you're also going to get a lot of pop stitches. It's just a really bad idea. So this is one that's good. I'm not sure why I bought so much of this, but I did. So anyway, this is a good 4-way stretch. I'm going to show you one that is not a good player. So this one's super shiny, so you can already imagine what kind of fabric it is. It is solid black, which lots of people like solid black. I can stretch it this way, but look at what happens when I try to stretch it this way. Nothing happens. You can actually hear a little buoyancy there. That's bad. You really want it to stretch this way, and you want it to stretch that way. So this is not the solid black would not be good. You can use this for something else, but not swimwear. Here's another one. Let's check this one out. Check this out. You can stretch that way, and you can stretch this way. You could definitely use that one. Gorgeous fabric. Love this one. This was a scrap I picked up at GLK. Good amount of stretch. Let's see what happens the other way. This one has stretch, but we'll talk about this a little bit more, and I have done a YouTube video on this, but you really have to be careful with the percentage of stretch too. You need at least 50% stretch, and I've done a whole entire YouTube video on that. I may update it, but you need to be able to fold it and get this part of the fabric to move to a certain part, and if it doesn't, you're also going to struggle. So just because you see how much stretch that has in that direction, right? But look at when I turn the fabric this way, you need to make sure it stretches in all directions. So, and we will talk about that at the end of the video. Here's another one. I put this one up here for a reason. The reason why is because it is a knit, and sometimes when you are shopping, what happens is, for whatever reason, the bolt gets labeled incorrectly, or it's in the wrong space, and it says swimwear and it's with all the swimwear and it's a knit. But you have to be careful, because while this is gorgeous and would, you know, the color, I love this color, it has amazing stretch, right? This way, look at what happens this way. Nothing. And so you hear that sound again? That's a bad time. Don't choose this for swimwear. And then the other reason why you don't want to choose it is this type of fabric really does not make great swimwear. And yes, you can line it, and people are going to say you can self-line it. I would not even choose this for swimwear, but you really have to consider whether or not this is going to make a good swimsuit. And that, the other piece to that is when it gets wet, you can see through it. We can talk about that also, and I'll put some more information on the blog with regard to how much you can see through. There are numbers that correlate with the opacity. You really have to be super careful. Remember, your fabric, no matter how gorgeous it is, you have to get 4-way stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 50%, at least 4 to 6 inches stretched across. And remember, when you look at the patterns, most patterns are going to have that dark bar with the arrow that's pointing to the right. That's your stretchometer, if you want to call it. If it doesn't get that 4 inches or the 6 inches or whatever it says you're supposed to get, you will not make a comfortable swimsuit. It'll be pretty to look at on a flat lay, but you just won't be able to get your thigh in it or wear it. Okay, so let's talk about notions when it comes to your swimwear. It's super important that you use the right notions for the right project. And if you use the wrong notions when it comes to sewing swimwear, you will regret it after you put all of that time, money, and energy into a beautiful swimsuit. So after you've chosen the right fabric, you need to make sure that you set out to have the right notions. One of the most important notions you can have for sewing is going to be your needle. So your needle needs to be either a jersey or ballpoint needle. We're going to use that 7511 or an 8012 needle, and that is so that we don't have skip stitches. Now, what are you going to put in this needle? A polyester thread. You are not going to use the cotton thread that you use when you're sewing a quilt or you're putting some other things together, because if you do that, that cotton thread will break down under chlorinated water. It will bleach, and it's not going to be beautiful. So what you want is a polyester thread. It's got a little bit of bounce to it. Polyester thread's got that bounce, and it also is going to be resistant to chlorine fading. The last thing, and probably maybe just as important as your needle, is going to be your elastic. What you're not going to use is braided elastic that comes like this. This is meant for your cotton polyester garment, not swimwear projects. So you're not going to use this. What you are going to use is specifically cotton swimwear elastic, or you're going to use lightweight clear elastic. If you don't do this, I can guarantee you're going to be uncomfortable. So if you choose that 2-way stretch with that beautiful fabric, and then you turn around and you put this braided elastic in there, you are absolutely going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to move your legs or your arms or your waist, and you won't be able to breathe because you're in a 2-way stretch. So stretch is so important when it comes to swimwear, so let's make sure we're choosing the right notions. So to recap, because you've definitely got this, We're going to use a nylon or polyester blend fabric with a 50% stretch over 4 to 6 inches, right? With a 1, 2, 3, 4-way stretch in all directions, remember? And then our needle. Our needle is going to be specialized 7511 or an 8012 jersey or ballpoint needle. And we're going to use that yummy polyester thread, not our cotton thread. We're going to save that for another project. And especially with our elastic, we're going to go cotton braided swimwear elastic or a clear swimwear elastic. I hope this demystifies the world of swimwear fabrics for you. Drop me a question or a comment in the chat below. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, because next week I'm dropping the 5 top patterns for anybody who wants to sew swimwear. So please stay tuned. Talk to you soon.